All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cruising is Life podcast. Welcome back for another weekly episode. Coop said he couldn't hear
Uh-oh,
the
we're
intro,
running
but
into a
you might be
audio
muted.
issue.
Let us
Oh,
know if we're.
Brandon.
Nah, it sounds good to me. Um,
Oop.
but yeah. Anyways, let us know in the chat. Okay, he can at least hear us. That's good. Anyways, hello.
Fantastic.
Welcome back to the Cruising is Life podcast. Welcome back for another weekly episode. Hope you guys are ready for a review of the MSC Seashore from my first ever cruise on MSC. First time with a new cruise line in quite some time, too, which is a very interesting change. But nonetheless, we are joined as usual by Dimitri. Welcome back.
Hey guys, what's up?
Justin will be back next week for the start of our Venezia series of
No.
podcasts for the next few weeks. But nonetheless, Pookie's missing. Pookie's missing. Have you seen those memes?
Yes, I have. Pookie.
Pookie's missing. But
How
nonetheless, so we're here to dive in and kind of talk about my entire cruise that I just had on the beautiful MSC Seashore. Dimitri here is going to ask me just a series of questions he may have, and I'll go in a little bit more detail. Um, I do want to kind of start with this. This probably will be a little on the negative side. So I do want to start with this. I did have a good cruise. There's a lot of missteps and a lot of weird things that were kind of iffy for me. But overall, with all the negatives that I'll get into eventually, and I think I'll start with those just because I feel like it's better to end on a positive note. So we'll probably dive into the negatives here pretty quickly. But there are going to be quite a bit of interesting things that we discuss here. But overall, I do think I had a good cruise. So kind of with that out of the way, and it's also cruises are also different for everybody because I've even had people comment on my seashore posts on TikTok that they were on my sailing and they loved it. Like
Uh-oh.
they gave it a 9 out of 10. So what? Did you say something?
Hold on. Oh, you're frozen. Hold on.
I think your
Okay, I
Wi-Fi.
think now you're unfrozen. I think one of our internets just took a dump, but I think we're back.
Interesting. Um,
So wait, what were you saying? Sorry.
so yeah, anyways, so yeah, like I've had people comment on posts that I've made of Seashore, even had the date. So they're like, "Oh, I was on that cruise too." And one of the people even said they give it a 9 out of 10. So a lot of people I have seen or like I have heard like on this particular sailing and on recent sailings have absolutely loved this ship. It's always different for everybody. So I do want to preface that because I know sometimes it's kind of intimidating and alarming. I think Dimitri's glitching out here, but nonetheless, I didn't have a perfect experience. But we'll kind of dive into all that here in a little bit. But because I had a bad experience doesn't mean that you will. So I know that can kind of be intimidating if you hear a bad review
Mhm.
about a
Yeah.
ship that you're booked on. So don't take it for what it is. I know a lot of people that really enjoyed the ship. I still did enjoy the ship. But again, enough of all of that rambling, though. We'll kind of dive into all of that. I just want to make sure, I don't come off as too negative for this because I overall did have a good time.
Fantastic.
Yes. Anyways, Dimitri was not there. I was with my girlfriend. Believe
You
it
got a
or not,
girlfriend.
I got myself a girlfriend. Believe it or not, but she came with me. That was our first little trip together as a couple. You won't see her in the vlogs. She's a little camera shy, so she said maybe next time. So she's a big cruiser though, so I'm sure we'll be doing more cruises together. But you won't see
Fantastic.
her in the videos or anything like that. But she also was, the same way. Both of us had a kind of indifferent experience, but overall, we would do MSC again. But anyways, what kind of questions you got for me, Dimitri?
Starting off, getting on the ship. How was that? Terminal 10. We've heard the goods and the bads. Was it good or bad?
So Terminal 10 actually wasn't too bad. I Everybody says that's like the worst one in Canaveral, which Canaveral's held to a pretty high standard because of Terminal 1 and Terminal 3 are that good that Terminal 10 kind of is the worst, but it really wasn't that bad at all. It was very quick, not it wasn't Royal Caribbean quick, but it was quick. We didn't spend more than maybe 20 minutes, in the terminal trying to get through security and things like that. We also embarked at 12, so that's like the peak time. Sometimes, with the 10:30s, you get through quicker because not everybody's there yet. So overall, it was a pretty quick, painless, no issues at all with Embark. So pretty quick and easy.
Cool. And you guys were out of Canaveral, correct? Who else? Was there anybody else in port that stood out to you?
Yes, we were out of Canaveral, so yeah, like you said, we were out of Cruise Terminal 10. Since it was a Thursday sailing, Thursdays are pretty dead normally, but this time of year, since we have that 4 and 5 sailing on a Royal Caribbean ship, we had the Voyager with us. She was docked across the basin from us at Terminal 5, so it was nice to see her.
Good.
Mhm.
So then, sail away was good. You guys explored the ship. How was the craziness of the buffet on the first day?
So the buffet itself wasn't that bad. It was the layout was really good. It was a very big buffet. I
It
thought
is
it
a
was
big buffet.
a very big buffet. One of the things I really liked is that it did have an outdoor area in the back.
Mhm.
I think that was something from older cruises or from older ships that hasn't really made its way into the modern ships, but I think MSC kind of does do that quite well. I think the Miravilia ships have that too, which
Yeah.
I quite like.
And then it was
We
nice
didn't
because
sit
all
up.
the what do you call it? All the stations, like they're right next to the kitchen, so it's
Mhm.
fast for them to keep up with the food and stuff.
Right, exactly. And there's plenty of stations too.
Yeah.
Like just plenty of different, like the pizza, there was like multiple pizza sections, which was
Mhm.
nice. Um, and so like with that, like if you were towards the back of it, you still had quick access to something, whereas if you were in the front of it, you still had the access to the same thing pretty quick and easy.
Yeah.
So overall, the layout and everything like that, it was big enough to where we never really had an issue. Like, yeah, some like during peak times, it took a little bit of time to like find something, mostly because we were looking for a window seat, but you know,
Mhm.
we couldn't always secure a window seat, but overall, I mean, we never had a problem finding any sort of tables or anything like that.
Already.
But
Cool.
yeah, like overall, I will say the buffet food wasn't great.
Okay.
It
Was it
wasn't
not great
great.
because you didn't find anything that you liked, or just the quality of food that was being offered?
So a little of both. Um, she is a little bit more adventurous of an eater than I am, although she has a gluten allergy, which we'll dive into that in a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm a picky eater, but I was able to find things I liked. Just the things that I liked weren't very good. One of the things I
Okay.
didn't like is that the cheeseburgers, like obviously like I just like to grab like a simple cheeseburger.
Mhm.
They put the lettuce and tomatoes and stuff like that on it, which is fine, like just pick it off, but they like slather it in some kind of sauce. I don't know what kind of sauce it was. So it's
I
like,
have no idea. Probably some mayo or aioli or something.
right. So like at that point it just at like you can't scrape off the thing. Like I just wanted a plain cheeseburger with nothing on
Yeah.
it. I could have taken the lettuce tomato off, but throwing the the sauce on it or whatever kind of sauce it was, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just not going to get that. So it's little things like that. There was a lot of ethnic food, which was good because it was a very ethnic crowd,
Yeah.
which is on par for MSC. So that was to be expected. But overall, there wasn't a whole lot of things that I wasn't. There wasn't a whole lot of things that like I particularly liked. The pizza was good. I actually thought Sorrento's was better, although if Sorrento's had the thick crust, like the thick crust was the best part. The thick crust was the best part.
I do like the thick crust.
The thick, nice and thick, but the thick pizza crust was fantastic because usually it's just like cardboard on other cruise lines. But if they gave that like thick pizza crust on Sorrento's Pizza on Royal Caribbean, 10 out of 10. But the pizza was good though. It wasn't my favorite, but it was still good. Um, but yeah, I think the food overall, like in the buffet food was mid. You know,
Mid.
wasn't anything.
Okay.
Yes, and I guess for her sake, I'll kind of dive into her experiences as well. Because two different people. Obviously, she's not going to come on the podcast. The day she comes on this podcast would be crazy, but maybe down the road. But
Hmm.
but she's obviously a more adventurous eater. She found plenty of things, but like I mentioned, she does have a gluten allergy. We asked actually about that.
Hmm.
If there was a gluten-free section or gluten-free options there in the buffet, and they said, "Oh, you're gonna have to go to the Central Park dining room," which we were like, "Well, that kind of stinks,
Oh,
but okay."
yeah.
So we did eventually do that. We'll get to there in a little bit. Um, but there weren't any true gluten-free options in the buffet, but she at least knows or is at least conscious enough like what has and doesn't have gluten in it. So like she was able to find things she could eat, which was good. So I'm
Cool.
glad she wasn't starving. Good, which was my main concern. So she was taken care of and she was good. So they had food for her. She thought the food was meh at best too. But again,
Okay.
all of again with some of these negative things that I say about this cruise, there are also people I have already heard from that said they had a 9 out of 10 plus experience on this ship. So I just want to keep reiterating that because my cruise may not have been that great, but there are people that were on this specific sailing and previous ones that thought it was great. So,
All
but
right.
yeah, buffet food's not really ever that great in the first place to begin with. I mean, Oasis had a really bad buffet when we went on it too.
True. But okay. So the food was okay. You guys
Hmm.
left Canaveral, and the next day, well, before you even leave Canaveral, you had to go to your room. How was your
Yes.
room? It was a surprise.
So huge. So a couple huge things. MSC is amazing for this. So we booked the random assignment for an interior cabin. And
Hmm.
so we paid the fact that we paid under $200 per person is insane. We paid between the two of us, we paid less than I paid for myself to go on Oasis in an inside cabin. But so anyways, with that said though, so we booked the inside cabin random assignment. Our random assignment then turned into a balcony on deck 14. So that was a huge surprise. Completely random. They didn't even tell us. It just showed up on our boarding pass that we got upgraded to a balcony for free. So awesome. Awesome.
Nice.
So huge props to MSC for that.
Mhm.
And one really cool thing I thought they do is that most other cruise lines don't do it. Most cruise lines will close off the doors for the cabin corridors, until 1, 2 o'clock when all the rooms are ready. MSC will give you the option to go ahead and just drop off all your carry-on items. Like I normally don't, and she didn't either. We both just had backpacks, but it was nice to just take off our backpacks, drop them in the room, then go up to the buffet. Because lugging around your luggage and your backpacks and things like that all day, it's a lot. It takes up a lot of space, and it's also tiring.
Mhm.
Especially in the heat. It was oddly very cold when we went, which is very rare. And that there's actually snow in Florida as we speak, which is nuts. Did you see
It is
Pensacola? Pensacola
I
got
did.
eight
They got a
inches of
little
snow
snow.
last night.
Oh yeah, and then
Dude,
some
that's
other places got
insane.
like more crazy.
If it was any colder here, we probably would have at least gotten a flurry. It was in the
For
30s
sure.
this morning.
Yeah.
Anyways, back on topic. But it was oddly cold, but it warmed up as the following day when we started to get to the Bahamas. So, but yeah, like on a hot day, it sucks carrying around all of your bags and things like that, especially across the pool deck. And it's also almost a little bit of a hazard too. because
It is with all that
you
stuff around.
run the risk of dropping it down the stairs, or you're clogging up elevators, things like that. So like MSC, keep doing that. It's amazing. Like
Mhm.
that is, I wish all cruise lines would do it. Supposedly Carnival, I've been platinum with Carnival for like 10 plus 15 plus years now, and I just found this out the other day that Carnival apparently allows that for platinum guests. I never knew that. But as
I've never heard that before, so
I
that's
mentioned
interesting.
it to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, they let you do that when you're platinum with Carnival." I go, "We've been platinum
Who's
for
that?
Carnival for 15 years, and we've never done that. How are you
Yeah,
the one that told me that?"
yeah.
But anyways, so MSC, huge props on that as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Very
but
good.
yeah, I guess as
So,
far as the room though, it was
you
very
guys,
good.
yeah, the
Having
room. How
the
do you like?
the room was very nice, very spacious. It
Yeah.
was very weird. I've heard this is a common thing on MSC, but there was just a giant mirror at the end of the bed. So her and I laying down, we instead of looking at like a TV, we were looking at ourselves in a mirror. Kind of odd.
Yeah.
But anyway, but regardless, we almost like this. And we are like, I wish we'd have like brought tape or something, because like we were just gonna tape up like a blanket to cover it or something. Um,
Yeah, it's weird.
but kind of weird. But it was a very very nice room, very nice, spacious. One thing I liked is that they have like a nice concept with the desk, where you can it like the stool, and then there's a table, and they're both kind of like that U shape almost,
Hmm.
and they go under the thing. But like if you pull one out, you can use it as a seat. But then there's the other one that you pull out, that's the actual table that goes up to the couch instead of taking up that space inside the cabin. Because there are a
Hmm.
lot of cabins that do have tables, and that does take up a lot of space.
Take up so much room for no reason.
Yeah, they do take up a lot of room. So like the fact that it was tucked underneath the desk was really nice. So
Yeah.
that part I liked. The desk was very very nice, very large, had a lot of outlets and sockets. No USB-Cs, but this was also a what, 2020, 2021 build.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
not too recent. Within the last 5 years. So yes, but the fact that it has USBs is great, because that's kind of on par for the industry. Pretty much we haven't seen USB-Cs until this past year with like Icon and Utopia. So I like it. One side had a USB by the bed and one side didn't, but then they had a couple USBs over by the desk. So lots of charging options, because I know that's kind of a big thing now.
For sure.
Balcony was nice and big too. Had a little ottoman to kick your feet up and everything like that. Very nice view.
Yeah.
We were kind of like right
What
in
side
that.
of the ship were you guys on?
We were on the starboard side, so if we were to have docked in Ocean K, which we'll get to, we were supposed to, we would have been overlooking the island. But with that weird design of the seashore and the seaside class, it kind of has those pronounced parts that just stick way out. We
Mhm.
were middle enough to where we weren't blocked by the front, but we also weren't blocked by like looking back.
Got it.
So it was overall great location.
Cool. So the next day, you guys went where?
So our first stop was Nassau, Bahamas. We had a 10 a.m. arrival, which was kind of nice because I slept in a little bit. Um, so we had Norwegian Escape, which was nice to see her again in Nassau, and then we had Celebrity Reflection, who we docked next to. Just kind of walked around. I did my ship tour that day. We just kind of walked around the port a little bit, kind of as normal. We never do anything. She hasn't actually been to Nassau since they redid it, so it was good for her to kind of see it. Still nothing crazy, but it at least feels safe to walk around there now in
Mhm.
Nassau,
Yeah, it is.
which is sad to say that it finally feels safe to walk around somewhere. But if you've been to Nassau in the past, or like years ago, then you would kind
Yeah.
of know. So it's a nice little area now. I've been there since they redid it a couple times, but that was her first time, and she thought it was quite nice.
Cool. And then for okay, so you guys got back on the ship. Did you guys eat at the buffet that night? Did you guys go to the dining room? Where'd you go?
So second night of the cruise, which I guess yeah, the Nassau night, we ended up booking a night at the hibachi dinner, which was good. And it
I
was
love
like
hibachi.
I know, right? It was I think it was $50 a piece or just under that. So nice little 90-ish dollar dinner between the two of us. And it actually came with the package we bought. Couldn't tell you what package we bought because it was just some random guy. We were staying on the Bridge of Sighs, and some guy was like, "Oh, would you like to book a specialty dinner?" And I looked at her and I go, "Do you want hibachi tomorrow?" And she's like, "Of course." So
Yeah.
so we booked that, and they're like, "Oh, it comes with a bottle of wine." I'm like, "Perfect." So
Fantastic.
I was like, "Fantastic." So I don't know what package it was, but he's like, "Yeah, this if you get this one here and pointed at it, you get a bottle of wine. It comes with this, 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 and this." I'm like, "Cool." So did that. It was I think I don't remember exactly what I had, but I guess it came with like chicken sashimi, some tofu. I had the sushimi. I did not eat the tofu. Still too nervous to try that. Sorry.
Yeah, me too. Love that, man.
I The salmon was good. I actually tried salmon for the first time. Believe it or not, I'm a
Believe
picky
that.
eater. I have said this many times, but I'm a picky eater. But that was my first time trying salmon, and it was amazing. It was actually very good. We had a very authentic hibachi dinner from a man from the Dominican Republic. I don't remember his name, but it was not it was not Japanese. Um, he even he even the funny I like looked at her and was like, uh, but the guy walked in. It's a hibachi dinner. We're on a cruise ship. They're from like 80 different nationalities on these cruises. I don't care where the guy's from. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah,
But
no, I get
the guy walked in, like he goes, "Hola, I will be your server." And I'm like, "We are in a Japanese restaurant. At least say konnichiwa." Like, come on.
you.
He goes, "I come to you all the way from the Dominican Republic." And I'm like, "That's not even Asia, but okay, okay. Like we're moving."
Thanks for the fried rice.
Yeah. As long as he makes a good dinner, which he did. As long as he makes a good dinner, I don't care where he's from. you know, I, we just thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's
but the salmon was very good, and then miso soup was good. All of that, and then I had the fillet. Fillet was very good, and she had the chicken, and her chicken was very good. we
cool.
traded we traded a few pieces back and forth because we both go, "That looks good."
As you should.
uh, yes, but the one funny thing is like we so they gave us the wine menu, and yeah, well, this is kind of my I'm gonna critique the crew a little bit, throughout this. So bear with me here. I don't think there was anything that the crew did that made the experience anything less. But there were a lot of things that the crew did that were more missteps that you would not even missteps, just more things that you just kind of scratch your head going, that like
Well, that's
wouldn't fly on any cruise line, not Carnival, not Norwegian, not Royal. Like just some of that, like some of the stuff like happened, like just very very minor things that didn't matter, but at the same time you're like that doesn't happen on other cruise lines. Um,
mhm.
but like in this particular case here, like this was more of just a simple mistake, but you know, ended up not being a big deal. But like like, oh, she likes white wine. I don't really have a preference. So I was like, we're gonna get a Chardonnay. We'll get a white wine for her, and so ordered the Chardonnay. They brought it. They brought out a Pinot Noir, which is a red wine, and I go, like, I would have drank it. That's usually my red wine of choice, but I wanted to make sure she got what she wanted. So I'm like, hey, we had the Chardonnay. Like, she goes, oh, like, I'm sorry. No big deal. And she comes back with a Pinot Grigio, which is not a Chardonnay, still a white wine.
Yeah.
So we just took that. We're like, cool, whatever. Like, no big deal. Like, we still drank the wine. It was still good. It was just like, it was just like, this is the second bottle of wine that you brought up, and it's still not the one that we ordered, but Don't care. It was good. I don't care. It was just like, okay. But anyways, that was like the only issue that I had with that, but it was a non-issue. If that makes any sense. Does it?
That could happen to anybody anywhere. So I mean,
Exactly.
I
It's
you know.
we're human. We're human. Human error is a thing. I make plenty of mistakes. Dude, I'm stupid. Like I make so many mistakes on like everything, so don't care. Like it's not a big deal. I just thought usually they're pretty on top of things like that though. I feel like with other cruise lines, so but not a big deal. We got the wine that we paid for. It wasn't any particular wine that we paid for specifically. It was just like picked from the list. So we got what we paid for. It may not have been exactly what we ordered, but we at least got the white wine that we wanted.
We got wine.
We got
Maybe
we got
not
wine.
great wine, but we got wine.
We got wine and we enjoyed it. Don't care if at this point. Like again, it didn't make any difference on the experience. But overall, that was really like the only thing. And again, I wouldn't even knock that against the dinner itself. Like that was more of just like a funny little hiccup that didn't matter. So overall, the hibachi dinner at Kaito Teppanyaki was fantastic.
All right. So after dinner, I'd assume you guys went to entertainment since you probably finished earlier in the evening. What did you go see?
So a lot. One of the weird things is they were really lacking entertainment options on this cruise or on this ship, and a lot of the entertainment options were during peak dinner times or
Mhm.
towards the later time, which was still a little too late. Like there was only one comedy show per day. It was the same guy, so which is weird. Usually like there's at least two, but it was a 3 night cruise, so whatever. But they had one comedian and one show per day, but it was at 11:30 at night. Like yeah, we were still up. One of the nights we were still up past 11:30. First night of the cruise we were exhausted, but the second night we were up, probably till 1 or midnight. Um,
Ooh,
you know,
past your bedtime.
past my bedtime. I think we watched. I don't know. We watched some like chick flick that she's like one of my shows has a new episode. I'm like, oh, let's watch it. So I don't remember what we watched, but it was definitely some like chick flick on HBO Max. But couldn't tell you what it is, but it was entertaining to say the least. Um, but yeah, but the entertainment options like towards the evenings were kind of sparse. There really weren't too many.
You didn't go to
Some
the
of them were.
nightclub?
I'm never really a clubber, and she isn't
Oh
either.
my god.
We did go to the white party though. The white party was disappointing, but not because no, because like I've seen so many videos of
Then it's like then it's
it's
like
crazy. I've seen
oh,
your photos where it's bumping that whole back pool area. That whole back pool area. That is the best little pool area on any ship. Let me tell you, that
guys,
the
let me tell
layout
you.
the layout of the ship is very weird, but that little pool area in the back, 10 out of 10. But
Yeah,
I've like
it's really good.
you have pictures of it, and I've seen videos of it where it's just like a full packed, like shoulder to shoulder, just white t-shirts and stuff. Um, but like it like didn't even go up like to the pool itself. It was just like to the stage and like back maybe like 20 feet of people, and it was just like kind of random little pockets, like
Interesting.
small pockets all the way back to the bar. So like it was kind of disappointing because I've seen that, and I've also seen it, sometimes where like they move it to the atrium and like the whole atrium is filled too.
Yeah.
But this one is just kind of, I don't know. It was a slow crowd, I guess.
Maybe. You never know. Maybe it was too cold out there.
Yeah. No, it really wasn't that cold that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it just, This particular sailing, it just kind of seemed a little lacking, but the white parties are supposed to be like the party to go to, which is why we were excited for it. She even so funny enough, so like I was just like thinking, oh, because you said your shirt got dirty, so I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna wear like a just like a simple white like undershirt. But she brought like this really nice, pretty red dress. So here she is looking like a smoke show, looking great, and I just like a bum and an undershirt. And I'm like, I felt so bad. He's like, I am so sorry because now I look like an idiot compared to you. But like, you know, it ended up being kind of, it was funny though because she looked great and I just kind of looked dumb. But yeah.
So before we go on to the next thing, addressing the chat, it's Bay and Birds. Seascape is going to Galveston.
Yes.
MSC and Norwegian are building a new terminal in Galveston, and that's where it's going. And then Galveston is also getting Prima or Viva soon. Anywho, continuing on.
Continue on.
So White Party was all
Lacking.
right. Okay.
It was like the buffet mid, but it was it was a deck party. So I mean, I don't really go. I'm not a huge person. Like we were just gonna like stand off to the side and towards the back anyways, and just kind of vibe. But
Yeah, that's what you normally do, anyways. Yeah.
right, exactly. That's like what I normally do anyways, and that's what she normally does. So it's cool. Like
Yeah.
no big deal. Didn't really affect it at all. We ended up playing some foosball and just kind of hung out inside the little indoor pool area. Indoor pool area, fantastic. The
Yeah.
ship itself was amazing. We'll get into like just overall thoughts and impressions of the ship and things like that here soon. But yeah. Anyways,
Okay. So the next day, you guys were where?
so second and final day was in Ocean Cay. Unfortunately, that was kind of our reasoning for wanting to go was to go see this private island because she likes the private islands, so do I, and we did not go. There were very high winds that day. I think there were gusts a little bit higher, but I know there were pretty consistent winds of 40 knots or 30 knots or something like that. But um, I will give MSC props for say or like for trying because we were trying for a good 3 hours to dock. Like we were supposed to dock at 7, and we were still giving it attempts at like 10:30. So we really gave it a good a good try to get in. The captain kept coming over the PA saying, "Hey, we haven't docked yet. But we're still trying. We're giving it another shot." So and we could actually see ourselves like line up and give it a shot, but like we, just every now and then you just kind of take off and pull forward. It's a narrow channel, things like that. High winds, not going to be your best friend. Uh,
No.
Unfortunately, around 11 o'clock, they did make the call though to just have a sea day, which was nice because we got to really explore the ship and enjoy it too.
Yeah, trade off, but a reason to go was Ocean K.
Right, exactly. And kind of like what I joked with her and a few people that have commented on some TikToks that I've posted where they're like, oh yeah, we're kind of bummed that we didn't get to go to Ocean K. I'm like, that's just another reason to go. Like that's another reason to go again. And honestly, that's I would go on MSC again just to try to check it out.
Cool. So it was a good sea day, and during the sea day, I imagine you did some stuff around the ship, aka race around a racetrack in an F1 car, perhaps.
Yes, so we did do that. It was cool. So there was actually um, So we did do that part of our status matching. We got gold tier, both of us. Believe it or not, she's a big cruiser, so huge bonus points for her. She
Brownie
got gold
points.
stat. Big. I literally told her, I'm like, you get so many brownie points for getting the same status as I did. That's impressive. Um, but she's like, oh, did you not think I had been on that many cruises? I go, no, just the fact that somebody actually gets a high status is usually just impressive in general because, like, especially like when it's closer to me because I've been on so many. But anyways, but yeah, so part of our status matching though, we got a free thing on the F1 simulator. I did it. Fantastic. It was a lot of fun. I spun out like on the first turn, but then I got a hang of it. I gave it a little too much
How
gas.
like people don't
I
believe.
I was ripping it by the end of it, and I was like, like that's when it stopped. I was like, dang it.
How much was it? I guess I'm curious.
It was either $5 or $10. I don't remember specifically because I
Oh,
didn't actually
yeah,
pay, but it was about $5 or $10.
got it.
Not expensive. Definitely should give it at least a shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did it too. She
Mhm.
hit the wall on a pretty consistent basis. So we love consistency. she
That's
it's
the
fu-
key in life.
it's funny because there was a couple of guys that like walked up like as she was doing it, and and she just goes barreled straight into the wall, and they go ooh, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, that's my girlfriend driving, and they go oh. And I was just like, the reaction was just hilarious.
Yeah.
But so I like I sat and they ended up being JDM guys, which are Japanese car people, which like me. So we all just like sat, talked about like Subarus, Nissans, Hondas, all that type of thing, while she was driving and watching her spin out and hit the wall. Um,
uh,
but
Not
she thought
random
it
ducks that didn't come up in the conversation.
no. Um, but anyway, like so I sat and kind of BS with them as like I watched her doing it. She thought it was fun. She didn't she didn't do very well, but she thought it was cool. Then we really just kind of like relaxed by the pool. That was very different for me, as I kind of took a more relaxed approach this cruise, and really
Nice.
enjoyed the ship. I couldn't tell you the last time I like sat out and sunbathed on a ship, like her and I just like sat on deck.
Ooh,
We
gotta
literally
get you
just like
some
sat out
hot.
on deck like by the funnel and just kind of got our tan on. It may not look it as I'm still kind of ghostly white, but we got a little bit
Tasty.
of it. I still pasty, but um, yeah, got a little bit of sun. Also part of the status matching, which is really cool that we got the F1 simulator and we got an hour in the thermal suite. So after that, we took a bit of a breather and went into the thermal suite, spent an hour in there, into the sauna, the little snow room. She loved the snow room. Um,
Yeah, the snow room is cool.
yeah, she's she's a Michigander, so she loved the snow room. But the little hot tubs, the saunas, and stuff like that. We really enjoyed it. So it was nice going to the spa. I've never been into the spa before on a cruise, so that was cool. It was a nice little change. So cruising with her was fun because she got me out of like my comfort zone and also got me into more of a relaxation mode, which was cool.
Fantastic.
Which is good because now I have a cruise coming up for 7 days with Pookie. That's going to be a lot of go go go.
Running around everywhere.
That's what it kind of like the approach I took too. Is like I was like, I think I'm here to have have a good time and also spend a lot of quality time with her. So I like want to do that and also kind of maybe take a little bit more relaxed. Obviously, still focus on content a little bit, but still kind of take a little bit of a relaxed and different approach to things. Because I know the next cruise is going to be an entire week and in 10 days, by the way, on Venezia for an entire week is going to be just go, 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 like your typical ship spotting, just getting up at the butt crack of dawn and everything like that. So it was a fun little change.
Yeah. Cool.
But then, so later on that night, we went to the Central Park dining room. So I guess to set the context of all this. So when we first got on the cruise, again, her gluten allergy. So she's gluten allergy, not gluten free by choice. She does not like the gluten free food. It tastes really bad. But
Yeah.
so she does not, if she could eat gluten, she would. But she asked, and they're like, oh, and this was in the buffet. She's like, oh, do you have any gluten free options? Like, is there a gluten free section of the buffet? Which ahead of time I was kind of put at ease by seeing like on like Facebook posts and like posts online and stuff like that they had a lot of gluten-free options. But when we got on there, they told her, oh, you have to go to the Central Park dining room. So there were technically no options in the buffet, which was kind of a bummer for her. Again, she kind of knew what she
That is
could and
bummer.
couldn't eat. So she ate what she could in the buffet. She didn't starve, so good. But
Fantastic. You're on a
it was
cruise.
weird. So the last night of the cruise, we were just kind of like, thinking like, maybe I was like, instead of going to the buffet, like, why don't we go to Central Park and, since that's the gluten-free dining room for you, let's go there. And so we go, and we even asked like before going in because we got there a little early. The lady at the reception was very accommodating and very nice. Because we got there a little early because we didn't realize that we had a 9:30 dining time apparently, which is so
Yikes.
late. But we showed up at like 5:30 because we thought that's what we had, and so they're like, "Oh, like you can't come in." Like we're like, "Oh," and then we realized like, "Oh," because we hadn't been inside dining room at that point.
Mhm.
But she kind of like leans over and goes, "Come back at 7:30 and we'll get you in." I'm like, "Okay, great." Like she's being very accommodating, like let us in. So we got there at 7:30, sat us right away. And we even asked, like double checked, like, is this the gluten-free dining room? Or like, does this dining room have the gluten-free option? Belle, please do not. Um, and she's like, yes,
No.
she goes, let the waiter know and he'll get it all taken care of. So we sit down, and right away he introduced himself, good waiter overall, good waiter. Um, and he goes, all right, let's, introducing himself. And I'm like, oh, why? My mother's texting me and she knows I'm streaming right now, but, but, and anyways, I'm trying to like keep Belle off the desk and everything like that. So, but nonetheless, so I go ahead and just get out. I'm like, hey, she's got a gluten allergy. Can she get the gluten-free menu? And the guy goes, okay, great. Like, let me go notify my supervisor. And Belle, please. And so he's got, let me go get my supervisor. He'll get it taken care of for you. And so he leaves and comes back, gives me my menu, doesn't give her a menu, and then takes my order, and then just doesn't take her order. And so
Oh,
we're kind of left going like, and then the supervisor comes up. I'm just gonna have to put
come
you
on,
down on the
Belle.
floor.
I'm gonna
Come
do
on.
something here.
But so then like after like 5 minutes after my order got taken, the supervisor shows up, and he's like, "Hi, like I understand there's a gluten allergy." She goes, "Yes, like can I get the gluten-free menu?" And he goes, "Oh, there's not a gluten-free menu." And we're like, "What?"
Oh,
So we're like, okay, we were told by the people at the front desk, like, and he goes, "Yes." And then, you know, and the funny thing is, so I don't care. Like I'm digital, so I don't care. But like I know some people are very iffy about it. But they're like, yeah, like pull up the menu on your phone. So like I already had it on my phone. So I handed her my phone, and he goes, yeah, let me show you what on the menu is gluten free. And like she's like, well, I could have told you that. Like
yeah.
so like that this was like I guess this one crew member was like the one person I didn't have a huge issue with it, but I was like it was kind of rude, I guess. It
I,
was more of just like yeah, like so he like just sat there like, it was nice that he at least, kind of pointed it out, but it was more of just like a yeah, no, we don't have it, like pull up the menu. And I'm like, okay. So I had it in mind, so I handed her the phone, and they just kind of like he just pointed at what she could eat, and I'm like, okay, well this defeats the purpose of trying to go to a gluten free specific restaurant. So because we could have done all that, anyways. So we do that, not a big deal. At the end of the day, she got her stuff, she had her meal and everything like that. I had the chicken parm, very good. I think she had some sort of like clams, which she said were good, and that was really like the only kind of iffy thing. Overall, the dinner was good. It was just kind of that one little interaction there. We were like, what the heck?
hey, we got some stuff in the chat saying they can't hear us.
It's birds. He's just trolling.
Somebody
Um,
else said stream. Oh my god, I hate you, birds, so much.
you guys are
I hate
killing
you.
me.
You're killing all of
Um,
us. Slowly.
but anyway, so yeah. So after that, we went to the Madison Theater. We went to the Madison Theater, watched one of the shows. It was like the rock and roll show, which was really cool.
Okay.
Um, and then things started to kind of go downhill after that. Um, but
Oh
so we
boy.
went to the this is the fun part where things kind of really take a turn. But so we go to the show, and then after the show, the karaoke was going on, so she likes to go watch people do karaoke. So we go do that. We get there, sit down. Like 2 minutes later, she looks at me and she's like, not feeling too good. And I'm honestly, I looked at her. I was like, honestly, I'm not either. Like I don't know what happened, but like neither of us are feeling good. I'm gonna call it, for the sake of not knowing truly what it was. It could have been a couple different things that we think it may have been, but for the sake of this, for not labeling it, because if we label it something that's incorrect, it could sound a lot worse than it was. So I'm gonna call it we had a stomach bug from something along the way. But we both got very sick the last night at at the exact same time. So we caught something at the same time, which was not good. So the vlogs will definitely take a pretty abrupt end on the last night of the cruise. And there is actually, fun fact, there is no debark vlog because we were DOA basically when we got
On
to
arrival to Canaveral,
yeah, no,
DOA.
DOA on our arrival to Canaveral. So there's no debark video, unfortunately, because we were both pretty much dead. But we had a very interesting night dealing with that little sickness. Um, but another like little crew nitpick is that when all this was first going on, I'm like, hey, like, not feeling good, want to drink some Gatorade or something like that. So I'm like, hey, like, do you want me to go use some Gatorade? Went around. So I went around looking for Gatorade for her. I go up to the pool deck. Bar was closed. Whatever. Go all the way to the back of the ship to the aft pool bar. I'm like, hey, do you guys have any Gatorade? No. They're like, no, I've got Red Bull. I'm like, what kind of alternative to Gatorade is Red Bull?
Yeah,
But
there's a language barrier there.
there's there's something going on. But it, but nonetheless, so I'm like, okay, and I go, like, do you know where I can find some Gatorade? And he was like, oh, probably downstairs. And I'm like, what kind of answer is that? Like, what? And like in my head, I'm like, okay, like continue my journey. But like in my head, I'm going, what kind of answer is that? Like, usually a crew member would have told you, like, oh, like it's over here, something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
So I trekked myself with by the way, not feeling well either. So I trek from all the way up, all the way across, all the way back down to deck 6. I'm like, maybe that little duty free store has it because they sell, the liquors, the candies, snacks, things like that. They didn't have it. They're like, oh, Venchi has it, which was right across the hallway. So I was like, perfect. Let me go over there. Go over to Venchi. They didn't have it either. And
Mm.
I'm like, great. Like, this isn't going to end well. So I'm like, and I asked her, at the lady at Vinci, I'm like, is there anywhere on board that has Gatorades? And they're like, oh, the Brooklyn Cafe has it. And it's right here. Just go up 2 decks. I'm like, thank God. Like, thank you for like being helpful. So I go up 2 decks to Brooklyn Cafe, and I walk up to the bar, and the crew member that I walked up to, just typing away on her little screen there, doesn't acknowledge me. She was serving somebody, but at the same time, you would typically get greeted with, "Hey, I will be with you in a second," or something like that. Again, it was more of a frustration. Not a big deal. In the end of things, it was not a big deal, but at the same time, I'm like typically on other cruise lines, like crew do not do that. Like usually they're a little bit more attentive and a little bit friendlier than that. But again, I basically, this lady sat in front of me just typing on a screen for about 4 minutes. About 3 to 4 minutes did pass before this lady finally looked up at me and said, "What can I get you?" And so I asked for the Gatorades, disappeared for about 2 minutes, came back, and finally gave me the two Gatorades. Cool. So that was just the end of a long journey, but at least I finally got them, you know. So I got her taken care of and everything like that. But overall, had a very rough night after whatever it may have been that we got. Yeah, quality customer service is not for the weak. Again, it's little things like that. I mean, their customer service could have definitely been much better. Did it make an overall impact? No, it was really the only two scenarios were just this one, you know, like this one scenario, like with a few of the different bartenders that I had to, you know, try to get this Gatorade from. And then the one guy in the dining room going, "Oh, there's no gluten free," and then just started pointing things out, like whatever. Overall impact to the cruise, not a huge deal, but the fact that we got some sort of stomach bug from this cruise definitely left a sour taste in our mouth. We overall just didn't really have. Overall, we had a great cruise. It just didn't end too well, so we just kind of like are meh and off put on MSC. I think both of us agreed we would do it again with MSC. Not sure what ship or where, but yeah, it was just kind of off-putting, especially since we definitely contracted some sort of illness from the ship.
Gotcha. That's unfortunate.
And
but
yeah,
I mean, it
I'm
happens.
still not honestly, it's been a couple of days. Like it's Wednesday, we got off Sunday. I'm still not 100%. She actually texted me this morning and was just like, it's gotten a little bit worse for her. Like she got better and then now she's a little bit worse. So a little concerned, but yeah, it's like whatever it is still kind of like lingering.
Mhm.
So
But
yeah,
all
a little
right.
unfortunate.
Well, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, now I guess speed around through everything. Design of the
Yeah.
ship, look of the ship, the smell of the ship, the elevators. Just kind
So
of speed around.
I'll start with these. That way we can kind of end on more positive things. The elevators were the worst. They were awful. They have the same destination elevators as the like the destination elevators are kind of like they have on Utopia and Icon. Icon's destination elevators are incredible. They're incredibly fast, very easy to use, stuff like that. The interesting, it can't like it was cool because it would say like, oh, it's arriving in 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. But like I mean, there's been times where it said, oh, it'll arrive in 10 seconds and like 5 minutes pass and it still hadn't shown up.
Oh, really? I
So
never
like,
encountered that.
yeah, like, you know, the destination elevators work and they're cool and stuff like that. But like in this case, like it just didn't work too well. I know the Carnival Horizon has them, and they didn't work very well either. I don't know if maybe that they've improved those over time, but I don't remember Carnival's destination elevators being that good. It's only Royal that seems to have perfected it. But
Mhm.
but yeah, the elevators pretty rough. We took the stairs most of the time. Both of
Right.
us usually prefer to take the stairs, but
Mhm.
when we
Yeah.
did take the elevators, we definitely were waiting for quite a while. Layout of the ship, very confusing, very weird.
Yeah.
Nothing you'll ever get on any other class of ship, that's for sure. But I liked it. It was different enough to where it just didn't. It felt like nothing I'd ever been on before. Like it was not a cookie cutter design, like you would get. Like, you know, even Royal Caribbean's not as cookie cutter as Carnival can be, but you know, you get on enough Royal Caribbean ships, you kind of know your way around all of them. Especially like obviously the Oasis class, but like even, you know, you've done 1 to 2 Voyager Freedom class, or even like towards the Radiance and Vision class. Like once you've done a couple of Royal Caribbean cruises, you kind of get the idea of where most things are located. Whether or not it's laid out the same, the locations of things are typically similar. Carnival is pretty much cookie cutter until you get to the XL class. So, everything on Carnival is laid out almost identically across, I would say, at least 75% of the fleet. So, going from ships that are very similar pretty much across like all brands to something that was just completely different and out of left field. I mean, there's really nothing like it. So I did like it for that aspect. It took a little bit of time to get used to, but I thought it was quite nice. The outdoor areas on the lower decks and that lower promenade, fantastic. Nice wide areas, very open. I liked that they had, I think it was only the steakhouse, but it was nice open. They had the open air seating there for them. The pools, the infinity pools in the back, very cool. Had a little pool bar, gelato stand. It was very nice.
I do like that outside area. I think that ship does it best.
Yeah, for sure. And then like that pool area in the back, the outdoor pool area in the back, is very, very nice.
Hmm.
Very, very nice. The indoor pool was great too. The only thing I thought was kind of weird was that I think it's called Loft 19 or Top 19, something like that. It takes up like the whole forward section. So basically, like from the funnel forward on the top deck of the ship is all restricted access. So like if you
Yeah,
want
I
to be
think
like
the
on
inner
the
part, and to go on
yeah
the upper deck, you can't go straight to the forward. You have to go down and then go back up.
Yeah, and like one of the back corners were kind of blocked off for some sort of maintenance, which I'll touch on that in a second. Um, so like literally if I wanted to go from like that funnel area where top 19 was, or I'm going to call it top 19. I don't know if that's actually the name. I probably messed that up. But so to do that, I had to go back across, back, and then down, and then back inside just to get into an elevator. And it
Yeah,
was
it's
so
very
like
weird.
it was just sometimes it was just not even worth getting up to the top deck. Yeah.
And to get down, you have to walk through the kids' water park
Right.
to get, yeah, and it's so weird. It gets so like noisy there and
Hmm.
wet, and then you get splashed by the stupid kids, and it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So I think one side was cut off for maintenance though. So it was super super weird.
Did you do the water slides?
We did not because it was cold.
Oh my god,
It
dude, what
was
did you do
cold.
this entire time?
I told you we laid out on the sun and got some sun, baby.
You're
um,
killing me.
like the first day it was like 50 degrees, and then the other 2 days it was like 70, which we're from Florida. Anything below 70 is just way too cold. So I'm not getting in the
I
water
went
when
on the
it's
water
70.
slides when I was in Alaska, so I
I don't
don't
want to
want to
hear
hear
it.
it.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. 70 in Florida is icy. All right, it's a different kind of cold. But yeah, it was very cold. So no, we did not do any water slide activities. But we wanted to, but we just did not. So maybe next
Right.
time. But yeah. But I do want to touch on the maintenance of this ship. For some reason, I don't know if it was a bad crowd or like recently or something like that. Like the crowd that we had was very tame. There's no issues with the people that we cruised with or anything like that. There's no like out like unruly guests or anything like that. But like there's just like random places blocked off, and also going into blocked off here in a second for something else. But there's like random places that were blocked off saying like under maintenance, but there was just like random broken glass like all over the ship.
Mm.
Like there was one of the sliding glass doors to enter the buffet broken, shattered. One of the panels inside the main atrium looking out, that kind of like the black glass, like when you're looking at the ship from the outside. One of those panels of glass inside the atrium shattered. Then on what else was there? Then on the Infinity Bridge, that little walkway that surrounds that, one of the panels on the floor of that shattered. Like there was so much broken glass around that ship. It was insane. I'm like,
Crazy.
I was like, where does all of this coming from? Like, one, like, if it was recent, then like I get it. But like, if that's been sitting there a while, like, why have you not fixed broken glass?
Yeah, that's concerning.
it's a little, especially the glass like walkway, that's overhanging and like nothing underneath you. That's a little
Mhm.
more concerning. Like that actually was blocked off. Like nobody could walk over that. So cool, like that they at least did that part. But like, so like 3 to 4 just random broken panels of glass around the ship was very odd. Then you had the one that I mentioned earlier, where it was just like a blocked off section for maintenance. Um, there are some rust spots inside the shower as well. Weird, kind of meh. I don't know why they didn't clean that overly well, but the ship isn't that old to be having little rust
Uh,
spots. It's not old enough to be having rust spots inside the bathrooms. But anyways,
Anywho.
um, but speaking of like blocked off, there would be random. They were not nice about it either, but there were just like random times and random sections of the ship that they would just have like a sign out saying private event going on, which never really saw any private events, because literally what you could do is that you could just walk to the other side of the ship and then walk further down and find the same area, nothing going on. But like like there was one time it was a sign, but like there were a few other times where it was like a security guard, like not security, but some sort of like person standing there, and like we were just like walking, like just kind of casually talking, and then the guy just like jumped out in front of me at the last second, goes, "You can't come back here. That's a private event." And I'm like, "Okay."
All right.
I'm like, "Okay, okay, like chill out, chill out."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'll leave. I'll leave." But literally, like I just said, like with that guy jumping out in front of me like that, I was like, "Whoa." But not 2 minutes later, we just walked the other direction and walked around the out. We weren't doing this on purpose. We were just kind of casually walking around. In this case, we were killing time before dinner is what we were doing. We were just casually walking around the ship, and we ended up in that area that guy was blocking off. Nothing going on. So we were just like, why are there random things being blocked off for like no reason, but at the same time, like not like
Yeah.
sometimes just being overly like extra about it. So I would say 80 to 85% of the crew, fantastic. There were definitely a couple crew members that stood out as either rude or just kind of like I don't know, just like kind of weren't up to what you would expect with other cruise lines. So, and did it affect my cruise? No. Do I was I caught off guard that somebody jumped out in front of me and says you can't come back here? Yes, but did it impact like my overall thoughts of the cruise? Not really.
Mhm.
Did it matter? No. I just thought it was really weird. So, I don't know. There was quite a few negatives with this cruise, I will say, but overall, I mean, we had a good time. Other than us getting some sort of bug, on this cruise. Like she even agreed. Like we had a pretty good time. The food wasn't great. The service was okay. You know, so overall, I think it was fine. The room guy was good. We didn't see him much, but he always made our room twice a day. The room always looked good and things like that. Other than the bathroom kind of being iffy on the shower. Having those little rust spots was kind of odd, but overall, majority of the crew was friendly. Just a few kind of like interesting ones where the customer service was a little lacking. Do I care? Not really, but I'm sure there are demographics where they're like, the customer service will make a huge difference. So I'm more one of those people. I'm like, I'm on a cruise. I don't care. Just like whatever. But there are some people that, if they have a bad interaction with a crew member, like it stands out. I mean, I won't really like, that's definitely something that stood out is is that crew member jumping out at me more than,
Mhm.
something, random throughout the cruise. So
You could-
I, yeah, random little things here and there that were just kind of like off-putting. Overall, did I have a good experience? Kind of, yeah, for the most part. Just meh. we had just had that little bit of a sour taste in our mouth at the ends, but other than that, we had a decent time.
Cool.
It was a nice first little trip together.
You guys learned that you guys cannot eat chicken parm ever again.
Whatever you do, do not eat the chicken parm. Well, I don't. She didn't have that because she couldn't eat it. But I don't know what the heck. But I don't know if it was honestly the chicken parm was like one of the best meals I had. Like that, and the sad part is the good food you had to pay for. Other than the chicken parm that I had in the dining room, the only good food that I had to pay for it, and I paid a lot for it. But it's whatever.
Oh well.
So I paid 100. I didn't even pay $200 for this cruise, so it doesn't matter. Not really. If I paid a lot of money for this cruise, then sure, it probably would have been a lot different.
I feel you.
Yeah, I would have been a lot more upset if I had paid some exorbitant amount of money with that experience, but I didn't pay much, so it really is whatever.
I feel you.
Overall, I feel like I'd give if I take the stomach bug out of the equation, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Would I recommend it? Yes, and I say that because I feel like I had a okay experience, or maybe just a little bit of a lesser experience. But that's not to say, because I've been seeing a lot of really good things about the ship lately. A lot of comments that I've been getting on TikTok posts of the Seashore have been saying a lot of people like that had sailed on it recently and that really enjoyed the ship. And there's even been people that have commented on things that they were saying they were on my sailing that had, I took a screenshot of it so I could find it, but like I literally saw this comment on my TikTok earlier before I started, but this person had said, me and my husband and friends were on this cruise. Hate that we didn't go to Ocean Cay. Yeah, kind of a bummer. But it was still a 9 out of 10 experience for us. So like there are clearly people that are on this exact same sailing. I've been a big advocate for that too. Like I've been on a ship before where I was on it, had a great time, and I was on it a month later, wasn't as good. And again, it just shows that just certain experiences and interactions can mean a completely different experience for you. So like there are people on this particular cruise that had a great time, prior that had a great time. We just kind of got the short end of a stick, and maybe the little stomach bug kind of influenced a little bit of the, kind of brought out the extra, inconsistencies. But overall, I think it was a good experience, and I think I would recommend it just because I have heard a lot of good things about the ship overall, even on top of, my experience.
Cool, yeah. It was a nice little getaway. You were on a cruise while I was at work.
Yeah.
So
Right, exactly. I was out on a cruise, got away from work for a few days. Not that I'm not about to for an entire week on the Venezia, but I think it was it was her idea. I mean, she was the one that looked. We were on a little coffee date, and she goes, "What would it take you to try MSC?" And I go, "Probably not much. What are we looking at?" And then after about a day of just kind of like trying to pick out a time frame, that we were sitting in line for Ratatouille at Disney World, and we're like, "Oh, let's do this one." We booked it like then in line for Ratatouille, so it was fun. Do we regret it? No. Could have been better, sure, but if you're nitpicking, you're always going to look to and say that you could have had a better experience. So overall, I enjoyed it. It was a great first little trip together, and I think we'll do plenty more, I'm sure.
for sure.
Hopefully. I hope so.
I think that
But yeah. But with that, we're a little over time. But is there anything else that you have for me, or any final questions? I'll take a quick look at the chat if we get like one or maybe two quick questions overall. But yeah, anything that you have for me?
nothing from me. I mean, our stuff's kind of aligning of what I told you before the cruise and after you've gone. But
Yeah.
like I said, MSC might have not been, the best thing in the world, but you're never gonna know till you try. And
It wasn't a bad vacation. It wasn't a bad cruise. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
So
again,
it was like the
the ship
cruises
itself was gorgeous. That was
yeah,
probably the prettiest
and the
ship I have ever
smell.
been on.
Oh, we didn't talk about the smell.
The smell was great. They had that
Big
little
fruity
fig smell.
essence.
Yeah. It was very that's the ship smelled very good. You know, it was a very pretty ship. The diamond crystal staircase, you know,
Oh, did you get a picture on those? I didn't see if you did.
the what?
Did you get a picture on those?
We did. We didn't. We ended up having some random couple ended up. We took a picture for them, so they took a picture for us. So we ended up not even buying the one that the photographer took for us. So we got one anyways for free.
That's
So
funny.
yeah. But overall, I mean, it was very very pretty ship. Again, one of the nicest and like most luxurious feeling ships I'd ever been on, for sure by far.
Yeah,
So the ship is very very nice, I will say. But
agreed.
yeah, overall decent experience, and it sounds like a lot of people had very great experiences on it. So again, hopefully my inconsistencies and my experience didn't drive you away or like pull you away from wanting to or make you nervous about your upcoming sailing, because that wasn't my intentions here. Um but yeah, because every cruise is different, every crew, things like that. Yeah, I've said it 100 times, but anyways, yeah, I overall had a good time.
Fantastic.
Right. But thank you all for listening, watching, wherever you may be, here on YouTube Live or in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week for our pre-cruise podcast of the Carnival Venezia. Have a good night, everyone.
Oh boy. Peace out.